this week's chapter of Boku no Hero Academia, we picked up where we left off with Yaoyoruzu and Todoroki fighting against Aizawa sensei. Um, Yaoyoruzu was ready to put her ace in the whole operation into action, and so she did. They were running from Aizawa sensei, having lost their quirks, and to be able to get away from their line of sight. In a split second where he closed his eyes, I believe the person his quirks who he's erased get their quirks back, and within that moment Todoroki launches like a huge ice attack on a massive scale, which is pretty epic. It's pretty incredible how strong Todoroki is at such a young age, and curious to see how he develops and uses the two powers to his advantage together, his two quirks rather. um, and and they actually end up getting the better of Aizawa with Yaoyoruzu's plan, which kind of surprised me that Aizawa fell for the plan. Though it even though it was a good one, he was completely like in the moment, speaking like he was kind of thinking to himself, and it was like, what are these? What are they doing? Like, what's the point of what they're doing? And he actually got caught up in it. I feel like if it was in a more serious situation, it wouldn't have been as prone to that type of attack. But either way, they beat him, and they were the first team to, out of the other groups, to go through that test, and that was announced to everyone else. And we actually got to catch up with some of the others and see the situations they were in, which was good because it gave us more, again, story progression. We won't obviously spend as much time as we have with Todoroki and Yaoyoruzu against Aizawa and All Might versus Midoriya and Bakugou, but just little snippets of the other groups allow us to get a sense of the story moving, and that they're also having their own kind of challenges among themselves. And finally, we switch over to the last two pages deal with All Might. It seems he's gotten the better of Midoriya and Bakugou. They do not look like they're in good shape. He's got one foot on Bakugou. He's on the ground like flat, and he's just holding Midoriya like midair, just like a rag doll. Like he's just gonna, he's just playing around with him. Like he's got his little Barbie and Ken figures ready to, you know, have a little story time game with them, but completely own them. It'll be interesting to see if they can make a comeback. They seem pretty spent, like they're out of energy, because they did put a lot of effort into that final attack together the previous chapter. But yeah, it seems like this particular little test is coming to a close. But it was really interesting. A lot of the development for Yaoyoruzu in particular and her plan, very perceptive. And Todoroki again, it's great seeing him in action as always. His powers seem limitless at this point. It'll be interesting to see whether the other students in his class are able to close the gap between himself and them, because there really does seem to be quite the margin between him and the others when it comes to raw power and even talent to a degree. But it was a good chapter. Enjoyed it. My last review, I did a segment called Best Panel of the Chapter. This one was probably split between the last page, the panel where All Might was holding Midoriya and stepping on Bakugou, just because it was just like, All Might, he's the best. He's my favorite. That panel and Todoroki's ice attack, the scale of that, is probably between those two, and I'd probably have to give it to Todoroki's ice attack because that shit was pretty epic coming from Todoroki. That's all for this review, guys. If you enjoyed it, I guess, subscribe if you will. I've just started my YouTube channel, as you would have noticed, and yeah, I'm just kind of getting used to it, feeling my way in, and yeah, see what comes of it. If you feel your interests align with mine, feel free to stick around, and yeah, have a great day.